Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the season finale recap, review, chit chat, talk about for Game of Thrones. Season 7, episode 785, glorious minutes of our favorite show out there. And holy moly, was it a show! So, we all knew what was coming in the beginning of the episode, which is where they have the big sit down, and basically Jon brings evidence that there's undead out there, and that they have to go fight the undead, so everybody shows up, and, I mean, you could have been a poor gambler and made a good bet that Daenerys was going to show up late and show up on her dragons. That was a little interesting. I think maybe she should have only come in with one of the dragons instead of just two, because you could talk to the reason that you only brought one. You can't talk to the only reason you only brought two. So that was a little interesting on her part. Tyrion starts the speech, which I guess, I don't know if that's just an attempt to slap Cersei in the face or what that was, but I mean, we should have known that was just going to start her off in a bad mood. And less likely to contribute or want to be a part of this particular meeting. So, and before all that happens, of course, we see a little bit of foreshadowing that there's going to be a final showdown between the Hound and his brother the Mountain, which I called that last week. I was kind of hoping it might happen this week. Maybe make it our big bad battle of the week, because it's fire that's going to kill the Mountain, and even though Clegane the Hound is afraid of fire, that's what he's going to have to use to defeat his brother, so I'm curious to see how that all works out. He got a little jab at him being uglier than he was. So, again, then it folded into Tyrion giving his speech and Jon with his, and then their display of the undead. And then it folds right into Cersei basically, okay, I'm cool with this. This is what we'll do. But the king in the north can't make any pledges. He can't pick either side. He has to just go back to the north and be the north. The only problem with that, as we know in the last episode, Jon basically bent the knee to Daenerys. So, of course, he's going to hold to his father's teachings as far as be honest, and, it causes basically a big ruckus because he was honest. Cersei's basically like, okay, this is never going to happen. So, beyond that, we see Euron basically say, oh, well, if the undead are here, I'm taking my boys and we're going back to the Iron Islands. These things can't swim. And he makes a big show of being a coward and running. The only thing with that, though, is you should have known from the last few episodes where Cersei keeps hinting at the Golden Company and the Bank of Bravos that she's going to get that army. She's hiring that army. There's only one way to get them there, and that's kind of by boat. So you kind of see Cersei's trap lay in there in the beginning, mainly because even when the undead came at her, she didn't really flinch. So like, she expected it to be true because there was dragons. I don't think it surprised her necessarily. I think she has reports from somewhere saying that crap's going on beyond the wall. Even if she doesn't, I think, honestly, as far as Cersei's concerned, they can all burn. As long as she sits on the Iron Throne, she doesn't care if the whole world burns when it happens. You saw that with the Sept of Baelor when she blew that up. Seeing that with her relationship with people this season. So, I don't think she cares. I don't think she's pregnant, and I think she's using that as a ploy, a way to manipulate people. I guess we'll find out more next season. So then we fold to where she storms off with her group, and Tyrion's like, let me go talk to her. He's aware I'm going to die, yada, yada, yada. So he heads on over and he meets with Cersei, and he finds out she's pregnant. you know, and she's like, well, he's like, you have your chance. If you want to kill me, kill me, you know, and I think if she didn't have a bigger plan ready, or she didn't want to see him die in a more humiliating, painful way, she probably would have just killed him right then and there. But she's got something bigger in play. So she doesn't kill him. He comes out. She comes out. You know, during that whole time of him and her talking, you know, Daenerys is like, I like the fact that you were honest, but I wish you hadn't been. You know, and Jon basically tells him, at what point do words just become words, and all these oaths and stuff just become one lie after another lie, and nobody honestly keeping the truth. I think that's interesting, you know, and Jon's right, you know, at what point is this just a game of lies and nobody telling the truth and nothing ever really getting situated. So then we bounce up to Sansa and Littlefinger having a conversation as far as Arya possibly betraying Sansa. And I've kind of had this inkling this whole time that Arya and Sansa have been in cahoots this whole time, because you keep hearing that same phrase recited, in winter the lone wolf dies but the pack survives. And I've even made mention last week and the week before to my wife that I thought Arya and Sansa were up to something, or Arya had a bigger play than Littlefinger had, and that something was going to come of that. I've been saying it for the last few videos and episodes that Littlefinger needed to die, he needed to go, but the problem here we see is that it seems like he's almost got Sansa convinced that Arya needs to be arrested or done something with, because there's a chance she'll kill Sansa. So we bounce back over to Dragonstone, after Cersei's like, yes, I'll fight with you, we'll send our armies to the north. And so they're making plans, and Jon and Daenerys decide that they're going to get on a boat together and meet the Dothraki at a castle, and then they'll go on to Winterfell from there. Then we bounce back to Sansa standing on the wall, and she's just kind of enjoying, like, she's like out for a breath of fresh air. She's letting the cold sink in, and, you know, she's getting her winter resolve to do what needs to be done. She steps over to one of her guards, and she's like, bring my sister to the Great Hall. So we go to the Great Hall, and we see Sansa and Bran sitting side by side, and it's a room full of guards, and one of the Lords of the Vale, Littlefinger, and they bring Arya in, and they shut the door, and Arya's like, are you sure you want to do this? And Sansa's like, you know, she goes in and she's like, you've been charged with murder and treason, how do you plead, Lord Littlefinger? And that's when you see the culmination of Arya and Sansa and everything they've been doing for the past few episodes since Arya got back to Winterfell kind of come to fruition, and this like completely dumbfounded excuse me look come across Littlefinger, and he steps over and she's like, did you misunderstand what I said? You've been charged with murder and treason. Which one of those is hard for you to understand? And she basically lists out all his murders as far as Jon Arryn of the Vale, the fact that the knife didn't belong to the Lannister, Tyrion. Then we get into murdering their Aunt Lysa and him conspiring with the Lannisters against the Baratheon crown and the Starks. And it gets down to him basically pleading on his knees for Sansa to spare him, and then Arya cuts his throat. I freaked out. I loved it. That was my favorite part of this episode. As much as everything that's happened in this episode, that's my favorite part. I loved it. It was awesome. I've been saying it for the longest time. Hashtag Littlefinger needs to die. It was awesome. It was cool. The way he went is the way he deserved to go. Just quick, clean, and then he just kind of bled out. And the fact that a Stark got to deal that retribution to Littlefinger was amazing, because of all the trouble and turmoil that he has caused with their house. He cost them their father. He cost them their mother. He cost them their brothers. Bran's ability to walk. He cost this family so much. It was amazing to see them get to deal that little bit of retribution out to Littlefinger, even if it was quick and just merciless. So that's pretty awesome. However, what I find interesting too is that now Arya has Littlefinger's face, or will have his face, so maybe that's how she's going to get to Cersei. We'll see. We bounce back to Theon and Jon having a conversation, and Theon basically saying, I've done a lot of wrong, and Jon's like, I can't forgive you for everything, but for what I can, I do forgive you for. And Theon's like, well, my sister was always there for me, she saved me, I have to save her, and Jon's basically then like, why are you standing here? So we see Theon go confront the uncle that was still with him and his sister, and they get into a fight, and then the uncle tries to knee him in the crotch, which, there's nothing there to knee, so he's not weakened. Keep in mind, Theon got his butt kicked up until this point, and I'm pretty sure the uncle was having a heart attack, but Theon prevailed. No, that guy would have whooped Theon's behind, and I think he was just having a heart attack, aside from the fact that he expected it to hurt Theon a little more when he needed him. So I think Theon got lucky in this fight, but whatever, that's fine. Let's see him head off to fight Euron Greyjoy and try and get his sister back. Then we get back to Jaime and Cersei in the capital, and Jaime's making plans to get the army to move north and provisions and things like that, and basically Cersei plays her card. She dismisses the rest of the army, and she tells Jaime, what are you, stupid? You've always been the dumbest Lannister. When you were, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to let happen, and while it's happening, we're going to go get all our land back. We're not going to support the North. And of course, Jaime, since the first season, has been trying to redevelop his honor and rebuild his honor. And Cersei makes it a lot harder for him because he loves her in his weird, demented, twisted way. But she basically is like, you've committed treason, you've conspired with my brother, and she threatens to kill Jaime, and he calls her bluff and basically walks out on her. So now the question is, where does Jaime go? Does he just ride off into the sunset, never to be seen again? I don't think so. Jaime's going to kill Cersei before it's said and done. I don't think Arya's going to get the chance. If anything, I think Arya might kill Jaime, but he's got to be the Kingslayer and the Queenslayer before he dies. He's got to kill the Mad King, and he's got to kill the Mad Queen. That's the way it needs to play out, to be honest with you. But we'll see if that's what happens. So we see him ride off into a horse. Maybe he's going to go find Tyrion and let Tyrion know what's going down. Maybe he's going to go find Brienne and try and help her. We'll see. My wife did make the comment that if he shows up with Brienne, Tormund may be a little pissed off because Briene's his lady and he wants to make babies with her. So we'll see what happens with those few. We leave the capital, we go back up north to Winterfell, and we see Sam Tarly come in to Winterfell. He goes in and he meets with Bran, and that's when everything gets unloaded on us, and we basically find out that Jon Snow is not Jon Snow. Jon Snow is not a bastard. Jon Snow is Aegon Targaryen, the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, which we knew from the beginning. We've literally known from the get-go. It was no surprise, just good to hear them finally get it out, and somebody else inside the show to know it's not just us. So that was cool. We got to see Bran go back in time and watch the annulment and the marriage, and then we got to see, them whisper the name, all in the same time that Jon's knocking on Daenerys' door to get a little bit of the booty. And that is just the weirdest, strangest thing, because everybody's rooting for Jon and Daenerys to hook up and have babies, and unfortunately, that's his aunt, and that's disgusting. So the whole world is shipping the most incestuous situation out there, and it's gross. So now, do we got little Jon and Daenerys baby's coming along? What's going to happen? There's been too much foreshadowing about her not being able to have kids, and then the comment he made about the witch. But yeah, she's going to get knocked up. Then they're going to find out who he is, and just stuff's gonna get weird. I mean, if you think about it, technically Daenerys is the offspring of a brother and sister couple, so was Rhaegar. So who knows what's gonna happen? It's all mixed and mingled. It'll be interesting because we're gonna get Stark morals and beliefs, and we're gonna combine it with the Targaryens' right to rule. So Jon's the true heir to the throne. It's not Daenerys. So the question is, can Dany step down and give rule to Jon, or Aegon Targaryen, as he has been rightfully named since his birth? Who knows? We'll see. We did get to watch him make sweet, sweet Targaryen on Targaryen incestuous, weird love. Then we bounce up to the north where we see Tormund and Lord Beric hanging out on the wall at Eastwatch. They go to take a look over the wall, have a conversation about how tall it is, and then we see the undead army come marching through the trees, and we know it's coming. Where's the dragon? Stop playing coy with us. And then wham, bam, out he comes, slams some blue fire into the wall. That's right, the undead blue-eyed dragon can breathe blue fire, which I think is a crock of crap. That spear pierced him right into the chest, which, if we just base it on like weird science, that pierced the sacs that allowed him to produce flame. And if you look at the rest of the undead army, bringing them back to life doesn't heal things that were destroyed previously, so I don't think he should be able to breathe fire. It makes him a little too powerful, but then they show the big lizard breathing blue fire bring down the wall. Not only that, he breathes fire longer than any of the other dragons, Drogon included, and he's the oldest, the biggest, the best dragon, so basically they're walking around with an invincible tank that can breathe fire that knocks down 700-foot thick walls that are miles high, but whatever. Why does he need the undead army at this point? He could literally just kill everybody. You're basically going to lose both of the living dragons to kill the undead dragon. Sorry. That's the way it's going to happen. Drogon, whatever the other dragon is that isn't important enough for me to remember his name, they're going to die. And they're going to die trying to take care of this dragon. Because that's just what's going to happen. This war gets to end. This show gets to end with Jon and the White King fighting it off one-on-one, because let's face it, they had a pre-battle and Jon got his butt kicked and he ran like a chicken. Now it's time for Jon to come back with his tail out from between his legs and his sword drawn and basically go head-to-head with the White King, because that's what's going to happen next season. On the last show, it's just going to be Jon and the White King. And they're going to duke it out. They get to decide everything. But that dragon's got to be dead before that happens. So get ready for a little bit more heartbreaks, shatterings. Your love for those dragons, just kiss it goodbye, because guess what? They're going to die next season. It's just the way it's got to go down. I personally think the whole undead group should win. Saw a meme the other day that basically said, it was R.R. Martin sitting there at a typewriter that said, and the White King killed everybody, or something like that. That's the way this needs to go down, because it's going to piss off a lot of people, and I would thoroughly enjoy it. But we never know. Martin doesn't have his hand in the way HBO's going to end it. I'd like to see the way Martin's going to end it. Can I get the book, please, sir, before the next season? I know it's not going to happen, but you got a man here begging and asking. Let me know how it ends. Let me know if I'm right. What do you guys think's going to happen next season? We got to wait a whole nother year, because they only gave us 7 episodes this season instead of the normal 10. Now we got to wait a year to see the next season. What do you guys think's going to happen? Let me know your theories in your comments, and if you think I'm right, if you hate me because you think that's going to be true and you don't want it to happen, just drop it in the comments below. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel for weekly reviews. Let's find another show to review. What do you guys want to hear my reviews on? I'm midway through Defenders. I don't know. Well, you know, what do you want to hear? What do you want to hear me rant about? Give you my theories and, on another show. What would you like to hear about from me, ladies and gentlemen? I will see you in another video, definitely next year for Game of Thrones finale season 8. Till tomorrow.